internet of value at Ripple, we're thinking much bigger than just cross-border payments. It's kind of like Amazon with rare books in the early days, just this market happens to be a $10 trillion market.
We are at a historic turning point.
Said in the past that you are doing for money what email did for communication.
Moving the whole revolution forward.
Take on it.
There's trillions of dollars parked around the world.
XRP.
Is there a possibility that Ripple could take over Swift one day?
Well,
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So to our script, let's get right into today's video. It's like we're watching a movie. The SEC is about to get destroyed. Ripple is about to name two major prospects. You will not believe this. You know what? I'm going to set the tone right off the bat here. Listen to what Thomas Petra has to say here. He is working with Ripple, and I'll let him tell you.
We now have two major prospects. I cannot name it, but hopefully you will read it in the press in the near future. We now have two major prospects. I cannot name it, but hopefully you will read it in the press in the near future. They both of them, and I was really surprised, actually it's free, they're all going for SaaS operating model. And not only for the non-secure components, but also for the secure components. That means their key management system is software as a service. It's no longer on-prem. It's no longer in their cellar. It's no longer in their IT department. And these are real, positively meant monsters of banks and monsters of banks. And I was very positively surprised that there is a shift in the thinking into that direction.
That was taking place in Frankfurt last week. And he's talking about two monsters of a bank. And this seems like it is going to be a U.S. institution that's going to be announced. And these two prospects that he's talking about. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But that is a very, very bold statement. Just like what Anthony Welfare said in the same conference. This was Frankfurt of last year, 2023. He talked about having 5 NDAs ongoing, and those still have not been announced to this date.
So what are we learning? So we've got 2 announced projects, and then we've got 5 under NDA.
I mean, that right there really sets the tone of what's going on behind the scenes, and how we always talked about how there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of NDAs that Ripple and their partners are just not going to announce anytime soon. And Brad Garlinghouse made this very clear since day one. And if you guys are OG viewers of this channel, you guys know I've set the tone. And I've told you guys this since inception. We got to see it play out. This is going to take a while. And Brad Garlinghouse stated this a long time ago.
Customer relationships when our partners are ready to announce that, and is part of working with the industry and not kind of trying to surprise them. Right. You know, we will make those announcements when we and our customers are ready.
And for the ones that understand, we're building a brand new financial infrastructure that's going to connect every economy together. This needs to be done right, and it needs to be done right on the first go. No failures on the way up. They can't have any downtime. Do you guys remember how I've stated this many times, how once the system is up and running, it can't have any kind of downtime. They cannot afford to have any downtime when you're moving real world assets and when you're scaling value into the trillions. You can't just have an hour of downtime. And take a listen to this. This video was 2 days ago.
But one of the big problems it has right now is its downtime and its latency issues. So one of the things we have to make a commitment to for our licensing to the Monetary Authority of Singapore, 99.9% uptime annually. You can't just go down for 12 hours at a time on an RWA token market or in mid-issuance. So as an example, these are the types of challenges that the RWA industry generally in crypto is going to have to face up to, which is we are going to have to address the compliance issues, the control issues, the performance issues of the different protocols. They have to meet with the standards of real world assets.
And Ripple has everything underneath their belt in terms of downtime, market stability, compliance, regulation. It's all ready to go. And that is why Thomas made it very clear 2 major prospects. Come on, that is significant.
We now have 2 major prospects. I cannot name it, but hopefully you will read it in the press in the near future.
And the SEC, remember, they wanted $2 billion from Ripple. Well, they're not going to get anywhere near that. Ripple came back and said any civil penalty should not exceed $10 million. And the best part about this is they pretty much referenced what I've stated when this first came out. They said the SEC regularly imposes far smaller fines, misconduct by the largest corporations. And they go ahead and reference Citadel, Goldman Sachs, and they go on to say this case is nothing like that. And when they came out with this $2 billion news, I came out to Twitter and I said, the SEC charged 16 Wall Street firms, all together combined for $1.1 billion. That's 16 banks, $1.1 billion. And they want to come target Ripple for $2 billion? And I stated their actions were nowhere near as harmful or criminal as those involving record-keeping failures above the 16 Wall Street firms. And that's exactly what Ripple is arguing here as well. And this is just, I mean, you don't need to be a smart aleck to understand this. The judge is going to read this and she's going to agree with us 100%. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to market liquidity. And I want you guys to always, always, always remember that. And that is what Ripple is trying to solve. Remember, the markets run with liquidity. If there's no liquidity in the markets, it's dried up. You can't move value. You can't do transactions. And this was made very clear at the BIS panelists, and I played this video, but I want to play it again, given all the developments going on right now. And listen carefully to what he says, because he almost says a third-party liquidity provider, okay? Liquidity provider, but says a third-party currency. But we know this is what Ripple is trying to do. This is what Ripple is trying to get a portion of, and this is why it's going to be so big. And a lot of people are going to miss out on this, but at the end of the day, we can only do so much to get the word out there. The ones that understand, congratulations, honestly. This is going to be a wild ride to the upside. But take a listen to this.
That is being put in terms of trying to solve these technical issues of interoperability. Now, the second one is more complicated. It has to do with liquidity. So imagine that you have a pair of currencies for which there is not a complementary demand. You need to go and search for a third-party currency in order to, you need to go and search for a third-party currency in order to, you need to go and search for a third-party currency in order to make this settlement actually happens. And this really complicates things, so we need to put pieces of technology that can make more efficiency this use of liquidity so that more transactions can be settled.
And who is going to be this third-party currency? Remember, they all need to agree to this. Everybody needs to agree to this currency, and this currency needs to be regulated on every jurisdiction that it is going to be utilized within their reach. So just ask about licensing. You guys already know. Everything is already done. It's behind the scenes. It's set and done. And now we just have to wait until it rolls out and then until it scales. Remember, we are pioneers. We are ground zero. We're at $2.3 trillion market cap. Like, we're pretty much at zero. And this thing is going to go exceed 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $100 trillion, all within our lifetime. And even this goes for if you're 80 or if you're 75. You just got to stay alive for another 10, 15 years. You will see this thing over $100 trillion. So with that being said, we'll be back with another video.
Help you with adoption, but I think more broadly, there's a little bit more regulatory certainty to come It's much better even now versus even just the past few years. And with that comes sort of big name institutional adoption that I think will be encouraging for others that might have been on the fence.
We started building RippleNet with the thesis that crypto liquidity would eventually be able to support robust global payments, large payments. RippleNet was designed so that customers seeing the benefits of our fiat-based network could flip the switch to ODL once the market was mature enough. And this is exactly what's happening.
Flip the switch.
I think what we're building has, it's solving a real problem. And I think all of the tokens, my advice to anybody would be, understand the utility. If there's real utility and there's real value being delivered to a real customer, there will be value in the token.